there has been no good news coming from the historical land of the good news. The region's geography as a crossroads between East and West still makes it of great geopolitical and economic importance, partly because of its resources, which seduce many regional and international powers. What further exposes this region to instability is the fragility of its ethnically, religiously, and sectarian diverse society living in an atmosphere of political Islam revival, which makes them exposed to periodic eruptions. Our societies have failed to manage pluralism, to build an inclusive national identity, to establish a state of citizenship and democracy, and to secure civil liberties, and to achieve the separation of religion from the state. The Middle East has suffered from imperial tyranny for many centuries, the last of which was the Ottoman Empire, which lasted for 4 centuries. When the Ottoman Caliphate came to an end, its heirs, the British and the French, divided the region with vision that served their own interests more than it served the needs of and aspiration of its people. The famous Lawrence of Arabia was a British archaeologist, army officer, diplomat, and writer. He was involved in the Arab Revolt 1916 to 1918 against the Ottoman Turkish rule. As a British intelligence officer, Lawrence championed Arab independence, yet he was also aware of the duplicity of imperial politics, as reflected in the Sykes-Picot Agreement, where the British and French secretly divided Arab lands, including the Levant. Lawrence wrote, quote, "While I was urging the Arabs to fight against the Ottomans of their freedom, my own government was secretly dividing their lands with France," the Sykes-Picot Agreement. "I had seen the maps with my own eyes, and I knew that what we were promising them would never happen. A deal had been signed behind their backs, tearing their dream apart before it was even born." End of the quotation. The fundamental problem of Christians is, in fact, the problem of Middle Eastern societies in general. Christians are not a separate or uniquely targeted victim. The real issue lies in the regimes that succeeded independence. They did not seek to reform societies according to the principles of modern state. On the contrary, the majority of these regimes were totalitarian police states that suppressed freedoms and failed in managing the country's pluralism. Recently, I read an article introducing a German philosopher by the name Alex Honneth. Honneth wrote, the article is far from Syria and the Middle East and all this, but Honneth wrote something apart from the Middle East situation that highlights the deep roots of our struggle as Middle Eastern society. Quotation: "When the recognition of individuals' dignity is denied and the right to freedom is taken away, violence becomes a final cry for existence. A just society saves its citizens from the need for violence to assert themselves." The migration of Christians remains the greatest existential challenge for the Church in the Middle East. Today, Christians represent just 3 to 4% of the Middle East population, down from around 13 in the early 20th century. The lack of prospects for young people, along with the lack of security, such as in Syria now, has led many young people to unjustly accusing the church leaders of standing in the way of migration to preserve their own influence. Unjustly accused. As a consequence of migration, Middle Eastern Christian communities have developed a global presence and become firmly established in many Western countries, allowing them to contribute at the political, economic, and social levels in their new societies. Moreover, their presence there helps describe the diversity of global Christianity at a national level. Now back to the main topic of this session. What's the stance of Middle Eastern Christianity in view of geopolitical changes? And are there perspectives for tomorrow? Contrary to sects, the Church is defeated from within, not because of its surrounding circumstances. This is what Christian history and the witness of the early Christians teach us. Their concern was not about being a majority or a minority, but about how to live the gospel. They preferred to be killed rather than to kill. We celebrated the 1700th anniversary of the Council of Nicaea as a moment of unifying communion. Yet the Council of Nicaea and the Nicene Creed did not guarantee our unity once the Church became entangled in its relationship with authority and the state. I will briefly address some directions that the Church can emphasize, making use of geopolitical and social changes as well as lessons from the past and present. 1. The institutional Church is called to a prophetic voice and advocacy efforts that are focused on the civil state, equal citizenship, human rights, and the rule of law, which prevent dominance of any single group. This aligns with God's will and vision for justice. God is not impartial, and rulers should serve the common good. 2. Engaging Christians in genuine and candid dialogue initiatives with Muslims, despite the prevailing challenges. Acknowledging the majority status of Muslims doesn't mean granting them the right to dominate society or to ignore the rights of minorities to enjoy freedoms and genuine participation in power for all. Christians often see themselves as a bridge between civilizations. Part of their historic mission is to live out the gospel in a predominantly Muslim context as a testimony to Christ's love. 3. Continuing to strengthen the partnership with the global Church based on advocating for the rights of Christian communities in the Middle East and building a national society that believes in pluralism and human rights. 4. The Church itself should strive to present a democratic model of governance within itself through genuine diverse participation of lay people, youth, and women in shaping the present and future of the Church. What the Church doesn't live internally, she cannot demand it for our countries. 5. Recognizing the priority of Christian unity over competition among Christian denominations through a sincere and authentic ecumenical effort. We are the Church of Christ in the Middle East. The Ottomans dragged us to be identified as sects, seeking power and privileges at the expense of our credibility and integrity. In conclusion, the Christian churches of the Middle East are to respond to geopolitical, social, and democratic shifts not by losing their identity, but by deepening it, rediscovering the core of our faith, and proclaiming the gospel by words and deed. We are called to sing a new song to the Lord, even when we feel that our land is a land of exile. Thank you.